Hey, hello everyone. We are here. Welcome to Father, Son, and Holy Sport, the weekly NFL show that you love. It's July 31 edition. G-Man and T-Money right there coming to you live here, helping you stay on top of the NFL, getting you ready for the season. T-Money, I hear they're putting the pads on in Cincinnati today.
Woo! Let's go, baby. Let's go. Joey B with a new haircut. Ja'Marr Chase looking for a new contract. Let's see how the season goes.
Hey, we know we need to keep Chase down there in Cincinnati to keep the
Yeah.
excitement going down there. But hey, remember high school, T Money? You were a runner, but I actually played football, T Money. You were a big time
Okay.
runner. We were state runner up in Ohio. G Man put the pads on in the summer.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I love those two a days, man. I love those two a days.
I
Hey, how
did my
about
two
these?
a days back in the day in middle school, big time.
Yeah, you were a big time player in middle school, but then you went for the running route, and it was a smart move.
Yeah.
But hey, speaking of smart, how about these guys behind me? You got Caleb Williams and Odunze really bringing the excitement down in Chicago, man. They're bringing some
Yeah.
excitement.
Exciting times. It's going to be a roller coaster for that franchise here the next few years. See where they're headed. Looks like the right direction.
Yeah, right. Hey, let's move into a great show here today for all of y'all. Let's talk about some of the stuff going around the NFL. We got Tua agreed to a 4-year, $212 million deal. T Money with the Dolphins. He got his big money, 26 years old. You know, he gets the deal, T Money. What do you think? Did he deserve the contract?
I do not think Tua deserved this contract. Look, I know he led the league in passing, and that he puts up decent numbers, but when he plays a playoff team, when he plays under a certain degree of weather, when he plays under 50 degrees, he is 1-7. His touchdown to interception ratio is 1-9. The guy does not play well in cold weather, and neither does this team for that matter.
No.
And
Tyreek was
so,
talking about it this week about how he hated the playoff game.
yeah, and they're still talking about it. And so I think I could have understood this if you had given him about a year less of guaranteed money. They basically gave him 3 years fully guaranteed over $50 million. And, I can't come to grips with that. I would have given him 2 years basically because that's going to be the franchise tag if it's not, right? And so that's where my head's at on this. I think it was an overpay. I think it's too much guaranteed money. I think they need to be looking right now for in scouting current college football for their next draft pick because Tua can't be the long-term answer here. The guy's an average NFL quarterback with probably a below average NFL arm. And so I think it was an overpay. It's kind of like Brock Purdy, Jimmy G, these guys in these Kyle Shanahan systems that are below average quarterbacks that look better because of the system, because Mike McDaniel's such a genius. But hey, the Dolphins, you made your own bed. This is your decision. No one forced you to make this. You had the franchise tag in your back pocket. You didn't have to pay him. This is your fault. So enjoy Tua Tagovailoa as your starter for the next 3 years because this is what you got.
I agree with most of what you said there, man. I agree. He's the richest 4-year deal in NFL history, and he gets it. Man, it's really surprising. These other guys are going to pass him up, but still, I mean, he did have a good year. 2022, he had all the concussions, and he made it through 2023, no concussions, and he led the league in passing, as you said. So they got this high-powered offense. They got Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel is the coach, man. So they got an offense. They got a great running game. This offense is going to be very tough to stop, and he's leading it. And so I still think they're going to be one of the best offenses in the NFL this year.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think this is going to be a high-flying offense. I mean, shit, they could get the 1 seed. They really could because they have maybe the best group of weapons in the NFL with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. They got Mostert and A-Chain, and you're not even talking about the running back that they drafted is really, really strong too. And so I like all their weapons. Their offensive line is shaky, and Mike McDaniels, though, is a great play caller. So he can kind of mask that. So I do think the team's going to be good. There is a clear ceiling if Tua Tagovailoa is your quarterback. It's just like Daniel Jones. There's a clear ceiling. You might make a playoff game. You might win one if he goes and runs for a couple, 100 yards, but you're not winning a Super Bowl with Tua Tagovailoa, unfortunately. So they made their bed. They got to sit in it. Tua, good on you, man. It looked like you might have been out of the NFL a few years ago after the concussions and injuries. And look at you now, one of the highest paid quarterbacks ever.
Odell Beckham down there too now. Don't forget that. We'll get a chance to see him with his personality down there. That should be fun. Hey, great there. Let's go over to the NFC. Let's talk about the NFC Packers. They won their last 3 games last year, finished 9-8, snuck into the playoffs in a tiebreak. And with that 9-8 record, they finished 3 games behind the Lions, though, T-Money, who nearly made the Super Bowl. Can the Packers and Jordan Love contend for the Super Bowl this year?
Well, here's another guy that got a big contract, and this one I don't mind paying. He sat behind Rodgers. He showed last year that he has a great arm, that he can run the offense in the second half of the year, that the playoffs don't scare him. He played well in the playoffs. All these things that kind of Tua we're not sure about, Love checks off. And Matt LaFleur is a great coach. I like where this team is headed. They have weapons galore. Their receiving core is crazy young and crazy talented. They have 2 really solid running backs. They signed Josh Jacobs and drafted Marshawn Lloyd. The defense is young and hungry. They finally got a legitimate defensive coordinator in there. And so I think this team is dangerous. I think this team can go toe-to-toe with any team in the NFL. And if that is the case, this team is a true contender. This team, especially in the NFC, they had, the team on the ropes in the second round of the playoffs. They crushed the Cowboys in the first round of the playoffs. They showed that they are not afraid. They were the youngest team in NFL history to make the playoffs.
Whoa. And nice little stat there. Nice little stat there.
Yes. And so this team is just getting more and more experience every single day. This team can grow more than any team in the NFL year to year right now. And so, yeah, I think these guys are contenders. I love what they're doing right now. And the Packers are a scary team. I would not want to face them at any point in the playoffs.
And they lose Aaron Jones, who goes to Minnesota, but they pick up Josh Jacobs. What do you think about that exchange?
I think it was more financial. I'm a big Aaron Jones guy. I think he's a great pass catcher. Josh Jacobs didn't have his best year last year. His yards per carry dropped drastically, but hopefully that's just because he was playing for the Raiders. With this Packers team, they have Marshawn Lloyd. They can do a 1-2 punch here. He's going to be more open than he ever has been with the Raiders, where he was the primary option. So because they have no passing offense. So I think that, yeah, it's a good exchange. It's a good exchange. I don't really have any sort of up or down feeling about it.
Yeah, they got right now. Marshawn Lloyd shown as the second running back, and AJ Dillon's third running back.
Yeah, very crazy. Go.
But yeah, will this team get past this NFC North? The NFC North starting to shape up. You got the guys behind me. You got the Vikings, who have a great coach and are on a good track. And the Lions, can any of those 3 teams, the Packers, Vikings, or Bears, beat the Lions, or were they going to have to make it through the wild card to go?
I know. That's what's going to be interesting about all this is, what are the Lions going to be? They're going to be a big favorite right behind, maybe the Eagles and the Niners. I think the Lions are right there. They proved that they're, they can play in the playoffs. I think, I hope that their coach learned a little bit about going on 4th down in the playoffs when you have a lead. That kind of changed the momentum. So hopefully Dan can kind of calm himself in those big moments, because I think that led to some of the ultimate loss that they had versus the Niners. But the Lions are a really good team. I think the biggest thing is, can someone in this NFC North, can they get pressure on Jared Goff? Because that's what's going to get you the wins here versus the Lions. I don't know if the Packers have that guy yet. But Jordan Love is better than Jared Goff is. And so that's where this offense is explosive enough to keep up with them potentially.
Yeah, yeah. No, good points. Let's shift over to the AFC. Team Money, let's talk about the Jets. The Jets got Aaron Rodgers back. They're starting to build it up again, Team Money. Can the Jets fans take this again after they got all built up last year and they lose Rodgers in the very first game, 4 plays into his debut on Monday Night Football, and here we go again. The Jets' streak of missing the playoffs grew by another year. They're trying to overcome it, Team Money. What are your expectations for the Jets?
My expectations. That's a great question. I think,
Well,
look,
thank you.
that this team should make the playoffs. That is my expectation. Do I think that's going to happen? I do not think so. I think the Jets are going to fall apart. I think Aaron Rodgers is past his prime and a year removed from an Achilles that at 40. I don't see how this team, can do that. The defense has to play elite. They don't have a slew of weapons outside Garrett Wilson. And their offensive line is shaky. And so there's a lot of telltale signs with Aaron Rodgers, especially just as a personality in that locker room. I don't personally like them to make the playoffs, but the expectation is that you should make the playoffs. Everyone, if you are as good as you say you are, and you guys are going all in, and you're signing all these guys, and you're bringing in Rodgers, and there's rumors of trading for Devontae Adams, and this and that, the expectation is to make the playoffs. That's it.
Yeah.
If you win a game, that would be great. But get to the playoffs and show that you're a legitimate franchise at that. So that's really where my head's at with this. I don't trust them. I don't trust Rodgers. I think he's, I don't trust Nathaniel Hackett to even know how to call the right football play as the offensive coordinator for them. But the expectation should be you make the playoffs if you're as good as you say you are. But I do not believe in the Jets.
This team hasn't made the playoffs since 2010. It's the longest drought of anyone since 2010. And it's all riding on Rodgers, right? They don't have Rodgers. They don't make those playoffs, Team Money. They have Rodgers. They make the playoffs, I think. It's all, more than any other team probably in the NFL, riding on the quarterback.
Yeah, it is. It's all on Rodgers' shoulders. So we'll see if he can come through. I know, just his offseason alone has probably caused some controversy within the locker room. So I just think every little thing matters with the Jets right now. You know, every little thing, So I just think that's kind of where, this could go sideways is all eyes are on them. And it's a pressure cooker. So we'll see if they can handle it.
The group that's been up there for years, several years now, we've been podcasting. It's the Chiefs, it's the Ravens, it's the Bengals, it's the Bills. Those 4 teams have always been up there. And now the Houston Texans are up there in the odds to win the AFC title, right up there with the Bengals and Bills is the Texans. So there's another newcomer that's up there, and the Jets are behind that whole group in terms of odds to win the AFC. They're ahead of the Dolphins in terms of odds to win the AFC, which is surprising.
Crazy. I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know.
Hey, thanks to our show sponsors, Blue Tee Golf, Team Money, BlueTeesGolf.com. Check it out. High quality golf products that can help you pick up your golf games, like speakers, range finders. Enter the coupon code FSHS, get a 10% discount, and go to BlueTeesGolf.com, everybody. Hey, let's go to our next question here. Let's stay in the AFC, Tim. And let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. They end up making the playoffs last year, Team Money. And who would have thought? They bring in Fields, and Russ is a little bit injured. We think he'll recover fine, but should the Steelers start Russ this year, or should they start Fields?
Oh, this is a tough one. I think, everyone's gut instinct is, hey, you start with Russ and he's on a short leash, which I totally agree with. But from the sounds of it, Justin Fields is playing well, and Russ is a little banged up and looking a little slow and not that great in training camp. And what I would do is I would play Justin Fields from the get-go if it's a competition. If it's even close, I want to give Justin Fields an entire year in my system, an entire year, I can watch him as a starter and see what he does and see if this is a guy I want to sign long term. I want to give him the keys because we're not winning a Super Bowl with Russ at quarterback. And if the competition is
Right.
even close, I want to give Justin Fields, who has a much higher ceiling, is a much younger, makes our offense even more dynamic because of his running ability. I would rather give the keys to Justin Fields right now if it's a true competition because I want to see if this guy can be my franchise quarterback. If Russ is okay, and then in week 11, we give Justin Fields a chance and he plays 5 games, like, I don't know if I have enough sample size to re-sign this guy. I don't know. Am I going to lock myself into him long term? Do I happen to overpay him and then I make a mistake because I didn't get enough time to evaluate this guy? Russ is not part of your long-term plans. Justin Fields could be. And so that my head is where I think everyone should be. If Russ is clearly the guy, he's the guy. Fine. If there's even a slight competition, Justin Fields is the guy I'm giving the keys to because I want to see this guy from day one as the starter, what he does as part of my franchise.
Yeah. Well, he's so athletic. Justin Fields, I agree. Justin Fields should be the starter, and Russ is going to be the mature veteran backup. That's how it should be. Get Justin Fields to play under that system. Give him an offensive line. Let him run that offense. The guy's so athletic. I know he's in training camp. He's throwing it around. He's throwing the ball. His arm's so strong, and he's athletic, and he's running around. And people are like, "My God, he's so athletically gifted compared to Russ." And so let him get this thing going and protect him with an offensive line, which Chicago did not give Justin Fields the offensive line. So come on, man. Let's go. We got George Pickens. We got your buddy Najee and Jaylen Warren, your tandem there. They're going to run the ball, protect Justin, and you got another weapon there.
Yeah, for sure. They signed Michigan superstar Rome Wilson at wide receiver too. They drafted him. So, when you have Michigan Wolverines all over your team, that's how you win championships. So,
right.
Yeah. But no, I agree with the G. I think we both think it should be Fields. So let's see. I don't expect that. I think they're going to give Russ the keys to start. But I think we both are on the same page here that like what you're wasting a year to evaluate a guy you could sign long term.
Hey, this team's projected to finish 7-10. Would they have a losing record? The Steelers have now went 20 straight seasons without a losing season. They now only trail the Cowboys for the most consecutive seasons without having a losing record. So that would tell you, T-Money, they're not going 7-10. This team's going to do better than they're projected.
Yeah, well, streaks are made to end, so...
That's right. Hey, let's talk about bad records, worse records. Let's look at the NFL. Last year, worst records in the NFL, there were 11 teams that had at least 10 losses, T-Money. A lot to pick from. 7 of the 11 were in the NFC. Who will have the worst record in the NFL this year? Who do you think?
Oh, man, this is so hard. This is very, very hard right
really?
now.
I think this is easy. This is an easy question.
The betting favorite is the Patriots. And I don't know how I can say anyone but the Patriots. Their weapons are horrible. Their defense is hurt. They got a new head coach. You lose Bill Belichick. You don't have Josh McDaniels there anymore. I don't know how they win games. Like, there's going to be a few games they win like 17-14, but Jacoby Brissett, decent QB. I think the sleeper team that like would kind of shock people is the New York Giants. I think there's a road where the Giants shock everyone at how bad they are. I don't think teams like the Raiders, who have Gardner Minshew, he can keep them above water. The Vikings have too good of a coaching staff and roster. They'll keep above water. So I think there's only a few teams here. I like, Will Levis's talent is good enough, when you're looking at some of these. So I think it's New England, and then if you want to throw the Panthers or the Giants in there, sure, but I think it's clearly New England. They are a horrible roster.
Well, I'm not agreeing with you on this one, Team Money. I like your
Oh,
points, though. Hey, 13 losses, honorable mention. I'll give guys that had 13 losses last year: the Patriots, Commanders, and Cardinals. You didn't mention the Commanders, but the Patriots, Commanders, and Cardinals, Team Money, all take a quarterback. Or sorry, two of them take quarterback. The other takes Marvin Harrison Jr. So they got the second, third, and fourth pick. Great job. On the right track, I think.
yeah.
The team that is going to be the worst had the first pick and traded it away. Carolina Panthers. 2 years ago, they take Bryce Young, mistake, okay, as their first pick. They come back and trade their first pick and choose a wide receiver at the 32nd pick. They had 15 losses. What makes us think they're going to be any better at all?
Yeah, look, I like Dave Canales, okay? I think that Bryce Young had no weapons, and they got him Xavier Legette, and they got him Deontay Johnson.
Who's Xavier Legette? I mean, come on, man.
Who's any rookie wide receiver? What do you mean? You didn't know who Puka Nacua was, and now he's one of the best receivers in the NFL. So, let's.
I'm just saying, is that going to make the difference?
It might.
Okay.
When 75-year-old Adam Thielen is your best receiver. Thielen. If he sees your best receiver, you're floating up a river without a paddle. So
Deontay Johnson is supposed to be their best receiver, and I don't know.
He's good. He's good.
He's good.
And they drafted a young guy at 32nd who is like a DK Metcalf 2.0, just like off the charts athletically. So I like the play. I like the play. But I agree with you. The Panthers are right there. Bryce Young's tiny. So I'm not going to fight you like crazy here. I think he could be. I think he could be.
All right. Hey, let's go. Let's talk about let's get people ready for fantasy, Team Money.
Ooh,
we're big fantasy guys, you and I. We're going to have a fantasy show, everybody, coming up soon here for you. But we're going to give you a little taste today talking about our favorite sleepers. We're going to do running back first, and then we're going to choose our show, man. But before we do that, Team Money, who's your favorite sleeper running back outside of the projected top 24?
Okay, so I might be, squeezing the numbers, here because it depends which site you're on. Najee Harris might be 24th or he might be 25th, depending on where you're looking. But I'm going to say Najee Harris. He's right on that cusp. The reason is he is an RB1 on his team. Okay. They bring in Arthur Smith, who runs the damn ball. Okay. He's had Derrick Henry as a top 5 fantasy quarterback for many, many years when he was the OC in Tennessee. And Najee Harris, I know everyone loves to knock him, but my guy had 1,000 yards rushing in 3 straight years. He's also played in 17 games all 3 years. So the guy doesn't get injured. Okay. And he does have some pass catching ability. He's the goal line guy. They have the best quarterback play they've had in a long time there. And Najee's in a contract year, so he's going to be battling. And so I just think to get an RB1 at that number, Jaylen Warren is phenomenal. There's been moments as a Najee Harris owner of him in fantasy. I understand the hesitation, people.
Yeah.
But I like how the stars are aligning for him. He is, again, 3 straight years over 1,000 yards. Breece Hall didn't have 1,000 yards last year. So I just want to, preface everyone, this is a great, RB3 option. This guy could be an RB3 that you buy and becomes an RB1. There will be weeks where Najee Harris is an RB1. This guy is an RB1 on his own team. And they have a new offensive coordinator who just loves to run the ball. So this is something where Najee Harris could be, could thrive in.
I like your pick. I just worry about Jaylen Warren eating into him, but I like
agree.
Your pick there, man. I'm going a little bit further down the board here to give you more of a sleeper here, Team Money. I'm going to the Browns, Jerome Ford as your sleeper running back. The stars got to align here, T Money, but there is a path for him to be in the top 20, top 15 running backs in the NFL.
Yeah.
This team, if it can improve, Ford, when he was the starter, T Money, he averaged 15 touches, 66 yards per game when he started. He ranked 13th in missed tackles, force per attempt, 16th in yards after contact. The guy takes a hit and keep going. And Nick Chubb is still questionable as to his health. If Nick Chubb does not make it out, all he's got to do is beat out Deontay Foreman, which he can do, and Nyheim Hines, who's going to be the third down pass catcher. Jerome Ford could be in position as the starter on a big running, tough offensive line there at the Browns.
Hey, I like it. Cincinnati Bearcat Jerome Ford. He's an awesome guy. I like it, G-Man. I 100% agree with you. Do you take he has massive upside. He has league winning upside because of Nick Chubb. So that guy, I totally agree with you.
All right, good pick by us both then. Hey, let's look at the wide receiver then, Team Money. Last question of the day for both of us. Favorite sleeper wide receiver outside of the projected top 24. Who you got there?
All right, this is a guy that I kind of mentioned earlier, but I'm going to go with Diontae Johnson. Okay?
Oh,
Diontae Johnson will be the wide receiver 1 for his team.
You are calling it.
You are getting a guy at the 34th wide receiver. Okay. Guys like Tank Dell are going ahead of him, who's the third wide receiver on his own team, right? Keenan Allen with a rookie quarterback and sharing targets with Roma Dunze and DJ Moore ahead of him. You know, those are the guys that are ahead of him, and I'm getting a wide receiver 1 in a Dave Canales offense that just made Mike Evans, a 30-year-old wide receiver, a top 12 wide receiver in fantasy last year. Not only that, but this guy – before last year, where they had atrocious quarterback play and he was in and out of the lineup, he was injured. The 3 years before that, he had over 140 targets 3 years in a row. This guy had, over 86 catches 3 years in a row. And now he has the best QB play he's had in years, and he's going to be the primary target. Adam Thielen was fantasy relevant last year. And not only that, Diontae Johnson is one of the best route separators there are. His route separation on a per route run basis is one of the best in the NFL. And so you just give him a little bit of a window, and Bryce Young will pepper him with targets. So he is a guy that can be a league winner. Again, at his price, he is a wide receiver 1. And that's tough to get at that point.
That's a good point, Ed. Rank that low as a wide receiver 1. You're right, man. That's a great pick. I worry about Bryce Young getting him the ball and that Carolina offense overall. Will it be productive? Yeah, will he get enough targets? But I like him sitting there at that wide receiver 1. I agree. Hey, I'm going to go to the team that he just left. And by him leaving the Pittsburgh Steelers, that opens it up for George Pickens. George Pickens is my sleeper pick outside of the top 24. Had a great 2023, 1,140 yards, 5 touchdowns. And he did that with Pickett, Trubisky, and Rudolph throwing him the ball.
Yeah.
And now that's going to pick up T-Money. Plus, Diontae Johnson's gone. When Diontae Johnson was sidelined last year, Pickens averaged 80 yards a game. Now he's got Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. The vertical threat, they're going to be able to throw it to him.
Yeah.
Only thing I'm concerned about is what you were alluding to earlier. They like to run the ball. Arthur Smith likes to run the ball. Yeah. They're going to give it to Najee. They're going to give it to Jalen. Will there be enough throws there? But I like George Pickens without Diontae Johnson there anymore.
Hey, great call. Hey, I don't think Arthur Smith knew Drake London and Kyle Pitts existed when he was the head coach in Atlanta. So that's my only concern, is he doesn't understand how to throw the ball.
Right.
That's what happens when you have like Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke at quarterback, maybe. If Russ is the starter, I love George Pickens. If it's Fields, that may be a little tougher just because he's not the best thrower. DJ Moore was very fantasy relevant last year. So I love it for I agree with you, G. My only concern is Arthur Smith in this whole situation. George Pickens will have wide receiver one weekends. There's no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. So I like it a lot. He's going to be a roller coaster, I feel, this year. And someone that, you get him on the right weekend during your fantasy playoffs, he could easily win you a championship.
All right. Well, good advice there, T Money. Getting people ready for the fantasy show coming to you from Father Son Sports. Thanks to our sponsor, Blue Tees Golf. That's it for today's show. Father Son loves bringing you the energy, everybody. We hope you had some fun. We hope you enjoy hanging out with us. On behalf of Team Money, I'm G-Man. See you next week.
Peace.